Well, I want to welcome everybody to today's Code Ninjas conference call. We do these calls each and every week to help give you a better idea of Code Ninjas, what we're doing, where we're going, and what's happening. These calls generally last about an hour, half an hour to an hour, really depending upon you as a attendee. My name is Marty Flanagan. I am the Vice President of Franchising here at Code Ninjas. And how these calls work is the first 10 or 15 minutes, I go over just a little bit more about Code Ninjas, a little bit of our history, and then we go into something called a Q&A. The Q&A is probably is the most popular time and most listened to part of the section of Code Ninjas, these weekly conference calls. These calls are all going to be recorded. They are hosted on our YouTube channel, so all of our past calls as well can be gone back and listened to. We generally have anywhere from 20 to 30 attendees per call. That Q&A section that we're going to go over later, that's going to be your time to ask any questions about anything regarding Code Ninjas, anything that maybe I have gone over today, anything you've heard about in the past, anything you want clarity on. We'll be able to go into those questions. And at that time, it's going to tell you, and it's going to you're going to initiate your question by hitting *6. That virtually raises your hand and allows me to unmute you, and then you can ask your question. So again, my name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising here with Code Ninjas. David Graham, our co-founder, our founder, the CEO of Code Ninjas. It was David Graham, Bert, and myself who started Code Ninjas back in October of 2016. So a little bit by the numbers, and we opened our first Code Ninjas location, opened up in March of 2017. That was our location here in Pearland, Texas, where I'm at today. Then now today, we have 350 sold territories. We have 75 locations open and operating for business here in the U.S. We are franchising in Canada. We look to have our first few locations sold in the Toronto area here in the coming weeks. We're really excited about that. So in the last 19 months, we've obviously grown very, very fast, and it's been very, very exciting to be so validated by the market and to see our growth and see our centers opening. It's very exciting. So how everything kind of started, and people like to know a little bit about our history, is David Graham, the founder and CEO of Code Ninjas. He owned a school that taught adults how to code. He himself had been a coder and a programmer for 25 years. And also an entrepreneur. And there wasn't a time that went by, a week that went by, when he had his school that taught adults how to code. He owned that for about 4.5 years, and that operated in 18 different cities. And as he owned that school, he continued to get questions week after week about how the younger generation can get involved, and how can the younger generation get involved? How can they learn this? He kept getting these questions, so he kept looking at the market. He kept looking at what was offered out there today for teaching the younger generation how to code. And as he continued to examine that, as he continued to look at that, he saw some gaps. He saw some issues out there with the current curriculum that was out there today. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today too, as well, is the curriculum. But first, as he was going down this road, he knew that experience was going to be just as important as the curriculum. We can have world-class curriculum, but we also need to have a world-class experience for our students coming in. So as he sold his past company and he started to focus really on Code Ninjas, he brought myself aboard along with Bert, and we started Code Ninjas in 2016 and launched ourselves as a brand in February, March of 2017 is when we first started. We really launched as a brand and awarding territories across the U.S. So as things were rolling, we knew we needed to be a franchise. And so to understand the franchising side of it, we really wanted to make sure that you understand today kind of how we think about the franchising side of it. We know that franchisees are going to be able to provide a world-class experience. We know that entrepreneurs, they're going to be able to drive Code Ninjas forward as a brand for experience, for curriculum, and also just other opportunities. We know that franchisees and entrepreneurs are going to drive the business further, faster, and with higher quality than if we just try to operate this out of one state and focus on doing everything across the country and managing it ourselves. So we went to Arena Franchise, and understanding franchising, we knew we had to have a support structure that was going to be able to help our franchisees no matter their business acumen, no matter where you're at. How can we support you? How can we help you? So we really broke our support down and understanding really how many Code Ninjas do we think we can have across the country, and how can we design a support structure around that. So before we even launched as a brand, we created things like Code Ninja University. We created internal collaboration tools that allow you as a franchisee to connect with all other franchisees across the country and your team members. We also wanted to create more online content for like video streaming, for training, for development, so that your team has videos to turn to so that they can actually see from past conferences, past calls, videos that our team has made to help support you as a franchisee. So, and we also have a full compliance department when it comes to compliance for your Code Ninjas, and understanding where your Code Ninjas can go, understanding the permitting, understanding the licenses side of everything. So you have everything we're trying to do is support you as a franchisee through compliance, through operations, through technology, through curriculum, and also through your performance coaching. As your Code Ninja goes forward and you're connecting with parents, how are we delivering that message? We have full digital marketing strategies already set for you. With having 75 locations open, those tools are always being sharpened. So that'll really allow you to tap into the best of what Code Ninjas have already done all across the country. We use all those best practices to always sharpen and constantly bring forth the best ideas on what's actually working on the market today all over the country. So having those collaboration tools allows you to connect with franchisees in your market, out of your market, and understand what they're doing. So when those success stories go out, you're able to actually connect with that owner and really see what are they doing, how did they execute that plan, that sales strategy, that marketing strategy. Even though we share those, it's always nice to connect with those who are actually doing it day to day in the same exact shoes that you're in. So we understand all that. We totally understand the value of that, and you as a franchisee. The franchisees really drive our brand forward. Support is the backbone of every great franchise, so we know we have to deliver great support to you as a franchisee. Marketing strategies are in place for you as a franchisee, so you really understand how to continue to deliver the message to the market, so you're able to communicate the value of Code Ninjas in your marketplace. So that's why we went towards franchising. We knew that we could grow faster. We knew we could get to the market faster and deliver a better experience and a better curriculum for anybody, for all those parents out there that want to be able to get their son or their daughter involved in understanding the coding and programming side of what's to come in this world. And another part of that, too, is we understand the curriculum side of it is just one piece of this, but it's also a very important piece of this. And so our curriculum, we actually have 5 different opportunities for families to get involved in Code Ninjas. It's not that they walk through the front door and we only have one option for them to be able to be involved. When people ask really what's different about Code Ninjas than every other franchise that's whether they're teaching this or a gentleman teaching it out of their house or whatever. And really there's a lot. There's so many advantages and so many differences. I'm really only going to talk about just a few today, but the curriculum side of it, I'm just going to kind of talk about one that's called our drop-in program. This is probably the most popular in terms of the curriculum side of it. This is the most popular. This is the most asked about by anybody, is our drop-in program. The drop-in program is a flexible learning system. So there's no classes, there's no lectures, it's not a classroom setting. It's a flexible learning system, what that means is that parents are going to bring their son or their daughter in at their convenience. They're going to stay for about 2 hours a week. So whether that's an hour each time, whether that's one time for 2 hours, it's a flexible learning system. They don't have to sign up for it. They don't have to schedule it. They're just going to bring in their son or their daughter during the hours of a Code Ninjas, and their son or their daughter is going to come in. They're going to scan their wristband. It's going to unlock their curriculum. They're going to sit down in our dojo, and they're going to start working through our curriculum. What this curriculum is made up of 9 different belts to go with that karate theme. Within inside each belt is a learned set of skills and a learned set of concepts. When they get to the end of that belt, they have to show their proficiency with those concepts and those skills by building a game that requires those skills and concepts, and that's how they're going to progress to the next belt. So they're showing proficiency, and how they progress is by showing proficiency. So they're going to learn skills and concepts within inside each belt. It's cumulative learning, right? It's all interconnected. So every belt compounds and builds onto one another. No belt is a standalone. They can't just do the black belt and then do the green or the blue. They have to do everything together because it all compounds onto one another. It's all interconnected. This curriculum takes about 2 to 3 years to accomplish. This curriculum is 45% proprietary and exclusive just to Code Ninjas. This curriculum has a proprietary game development platform. What that is an LMS. In today's world of coding and technology for teaching kids, there's no testing program. How are we testing our students on their proficiency? We know that's not out there, so we built our own. So we built our own LMS. We call it our game development platform. This curriculum also has its own set of proprietary textbooks that go along with it. So when our students come in, they scan their wristband, they're going to be grabbing one of our proprietary textbooks, sitting down and working through our curriculum. This curriculum also has an exclusive robotics program that's intertwined inside of all the belts. This curriculum can only be accessed through Code Ninjas at site. It can't be accessed at home. But parents are able to log in to the parent portal, and they're going to be able to see and play the games that their son or daughter has done, and they're going to be able to see how it's rated, what they've done, and stay fully engaged in the process of their son or their daughter being involved in Code Ninjas. So that gives you an idea of that belt system. That gives you an idea of how our main curriculum works. This curriculum also is a flat tuition rate per month. You as a franchisee are going to be able to charge based on your community, based on your cost of living. We don't tell you what you charge. We give you a basic range, and then you work it from there. So this curriculum also is going to be taught or coached by our Code Senseis. So our Code Senseis are going to be working inside your Code Ninjas, and they work with our students that are ninjas that come in on a regular basis. This curriculum lives on the platform, our platform, in the cloud, and our students can only access that through our dashboard. Our dashboard allows them to go back and play games that they've made, make small modifications. It allows them to collaborate with other Code Ninja students, and they can do games and build things together as well. But that dashboard is how they're going to access that. We teach them, we give them orientation how to access it, what to do, so they're able to work through that. So that, and it's a game-based curriculum. So everything we do is game-based. They're going to be learning different languages through this. We understand that a great coder and a great programmer can pick up a language over a week or a weekend. But what they can't do is pick up the problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, collaboration, leadership, time management, problem identification. Those skills are practiced skills that every great coder and every great programmer has because they've practiced it. So when it comes to technologies or languages, they're going to be using a few different languages and technologies in here. They're not made up. They're using JavaScript, C#, Lua. I mean, they're going to be using different languages inside of this belt system. And like I said, this takes about 2 to 3 years to accomplish. It's not a program where they're going to be doing something for 4 weeks and then be done, right? And then they have to then go to another random topic. It's all interconnected, cumulative learning. It all is compounding onto one another. So that's one way that families can get involved. We also do parents' night out. We also do birthday parties. We also do we're actually beta testing some workshops right now. We also do after-school programming. So there's multiple ways for families to get involved in Code Ninjas, not just one. So when a parent walks in, a family walks in, we really can meet them where they're at based on their commitment, their time, their experience, their financial situation. Really can meet them where they're at and get their son or their daughter involved in Code Ninjas. So that gives you an idea of the curriculum and gives you a little bit of an idea of why we're a franchise and how we built our internal structure. We have compliance in place. We had our discovery day here yesterday, and it seems like every single discovery day we get the same feedback where our discovery day attendees, which is individuals like yourself, are just solidly impressed by our team itself, because when you have an entire team standing behind you in Discovery Day of 22, 23 people that are here to support you, and they all have their individual role, and they know exactly what they have to do and exactly how they need to help you with technology, with curriculum. We have 3 full-time game curriculum developers. Their job is just to focus on game curriculum development. So we have people in place that are always advancing our curriculum, because we always say it's complete but never finished. So it's always advancing, along with our camps. So we do some camps that are going to be, whenever there's not school, we do camps. And camps, some are proprietary, some are non-proprietary. We do camps to increase the bandwidth of our current students and introduce families into this world through a camp-based setting as well. So like I said, there's multiple opportunities to get involved in Code Ninjas for families and parents. We want to be able to continue to provide those revenue sources and those tools for you. So inside of your Code Ninjas, we're constantly creating traffic. So that gives you a basic idea. These calls are always the same in the beginning. The first 10 or 15 minutes are me kind of giving you a brief introduction if you've never heard of Code Ninjas before. And after that, it's really now it's time for the Q&A section, where I really just turn it over to you and allow you to ask whatever questions you have for me in regards to Code Ninjas. Is by hitting *6. And if I did such a fantastic job today where nobody has any questions, then this call is going to end really early. But if you do have questions, this is going to be your time, whether it's on curriculum, whether it's on territories, whether it's on franchising in general. Whatever questions you have for me in regards to Code Ninjas, this is going to be your time to ask, and we'll dive into it. Hi, you have a question? Hello, do you have a question? No? Hi, do you have a question?
Hi, it's Tony Anderson. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Tony.
Great. Hey, what sort of help do you guys give in terms of the territory definement, in terms of placement of the locations?
So every territory is going to be approved, and we do that together. So that you and I are going to work together on identifying the very best market, very best territory for you. When it comes to your actual real estate, you would work with either our preferred vendor or your own real estate agent to identify a location. That location has to go through our approval process, which we have something called a facility guide, so you're going to know, and your real estate agent's going to know if this is going to work. Like it'll be pretty clear. With our facility guide and working with us, you have a pretty good idea if that's going to be approved or not. But we have an approval process that the actual space would go through. And then you and I would work on identifying the best part of town, best market that would be for Code Ninjas.
Okay, thanks. You have demographic information or whatever that we can work through?
Yes, so I have a mapping software. So everything we do is a mapping software that shows us all the demographics, and it's very granular. So even just by moving it a little bit, the numbers will change based on the community.
All right, perfect. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, and I think it's related to the last question. How do you define how many stores or franchisees can live within a defined area?
So understanding how our philosophy is on territories is really important. Even so, for an example, demographics-wise, the largest territory we give is 3 miles. So I'm just going to use that as an example. That's the largest territory we give. But we're not going to put another Code Ninjas 3.2 miles away, because there's internal matrix that we use along with external. So we need to know how many students are on our age range inside your radius, right? To have even be an approved market, we have to have at least a 70,000 median household income and at least 5,000 students in our age range within a 3-mile radius. That is where we start from. Now, if somebody wants to put a territory right outside yours, that means it's called major overlap. So you have territory border to territory border major overlap. We don't allow that because that's too close. That means our franchisees are going to be fighting over the same students with inside territories. We don't want to do that. So if a market is available, it has to also be viable and it has to meet our matrix. So we want to keep our code ninjas a little bit further apart. We don't want them stacked on top of one another. So I get calls all the time being like, well, yeah, but that's 3 miles away. Well, I get that, but you're still too close. And I get that call and email probably every other day where somebody wants to go where Code Ninjas is 5 miles away. I get that it's 5 miles away, but in a lot of cases, that's just too close. So we end up pushing them a little bit further away or denying it completely.
Excellent. And the last question is, I'm seeing that you have a lot of plans or openings that are pending for next year. How can I know if for the areas where I would like to explore, is there still those areas are still available?
So everything you see on our map is sold and paid for with a timeline to open. So if anybody looks on our website and sees locations, those locations are all sold, paid for, signed franchise agreements with a timeline to open. So if it's even close to one of those, you be really cautious because, like markets like Houston, that's a closed market to new franchisees. Chicago, the Chicagoland area and the surrounding community, same thing. You're very, very difficult to find a market out there. Austin is closed. San Antonio has like one good market left. North Dallas is almost completely closed out. So it's really New Jersey, same thing. So if you're looking at a market that has a lot of Code Ninjas, you're definitely going to want to connect with us, and we can let you know if the market is closed or sold or if what's available in that town, that city.
And in that regards, if the area that I would like to explore is not still in that map, how can I start the process just to start I just want to be the first in that market? So the next steps.
Yeah, you want to make sure you've connected with myself. Whoever sent you an email, you probably would get an email from myself or Jeff Thames, and then you'd work with us directly. If you have not received an email, then make sure you email me, which is marty@codeninjas.com. You email me, and I'll get you connected.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, and yes, this is Andrew, and I was just wondering, in Canada, is there any Code Ninjas, or is there nothing set up yet? Is this completely new for us?
It's brand new for Canada. We're hoping to have 4 or 5 locations sold here in Canada. It's usually about anywhere from a 60 to 90-day sales cycle, and we just opened up in Canada about 60 days ago. So,
and what locations are you opening up at?
Anywhere besides Quebec, so if that makes sense. So pretty much, right now Canada is wide open. So we have no secured markets. We have nothing secured in Canada yet. So if you're interested in going to Winnipeg, definitely want to connect with myself or Jeff Thames, and we'll dial in that market and look at the demographics and find you the best part of town.
Okay, yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
I did. So Marty, we had actually emailed previously, and you had mentioned, I'm in Canada as well, along the lines of the Toronto area. So I guess you've sort of answered it previously, which is just to connect with you in terms of looking at the demographics for outside of the Toronto area. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Toronto itself probably can have about 15, I bet you 15 or so Code Ninjas from the research that I've already done. So Toronto is going to be a great market for Code Ninjas.
Yeah, we were actually looking at the Durham area.
Don't say the town. Don't say the town. Don't say the town. Email me. You don't want everybody knowing where you want to be.
Okay.
We don't want anybody. Email me separately, for sure.
All right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, so I have a question related to your previous answer about the saturated market. If I'm in one of those areas or one of those states, but the closest one that I can still search is about 15 miles or 10 miles away. So, and there's a lot of opportunity that I see in the market where I live actually. So, how is that determination made? And also, the second question was, are there pricing structures or plans depending on, or is it just one for franchise?
So two great questions. So one, I approve all markets in the U.S. and Canada internationally. So all markets get run by me first before they are approved. I have a pretty strict way that I like to grow Code Ninjas. And being that more than 350 locations sold in 19 months, it's been very effective, and I feel it's very fair. So when a market comes my way, if you're in a very, very saturated market, do I want to get you someplace? Yes, but my first obligation is to protect my franchisees. So if it's in a viable and available market, then I'll get you in there. But if I don't see it being viable for Code Ninjas, I'm very protective over our brand, and I'm going to deny it, right? So make sure if you have an area that's very, very saturated market already, you have to know that I've already researched. So if you find a market and you're like, oh, well, what about here? What about there? I can promise you about 100 other people have asked me that question, and I've done a ton of research. I've only been surprised once or twice in the last 6 months where somebody showed me a market in a very saturated area that I didn't see already. So I have people working on it on a regular basis. So if it is available and it is viable and it hasn't been purchased, you're in a really good place. Or if it's not about to be purchased, that's great news. So you're going to want to make sure you get that stuff over to Jeff Thames or myself, whoever you've been working with, to really look at that market closely and find out, okay, what's there? What kind of real estate is there? What kind of availability is there? And let's dig into it together, because I want to get you in there. Right? We add 10, 15, 20 territories every month, easy. So we show a history of wanting to get you a market. It's just it has to meet the internal matrix. It has to meet our guidelines. In terms of pricing, we have a minimum and a maximum in our drop-in program. So you do have to follow a minimum and maximum, but you get to pick in there where you land based on your cost of living and cost of doing business in your market. We don't mandate a set pricing structure for you.
And who do we email, or who should I get in touch with for this or other questions?
So like I said, if you've been working with Jeff Thames already, then you're going to stay in contact with him, or you've been emailing me. It's either him or me. You've received an email for him or me. If you haven't yet, then definitely email me, which is Marty at codeninjas.com, and I'll work with you and get you connected.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Could you please go a little bit into detail with marketing, advertising assistance?
I'm not going to go too far into detail because we do that more one-on-one and at Discovery Days. I can tell you that we have full digital marketing strategies in place. Our marketing director has been working inside of franchising for more than 7 years and franchising individual units and understanding digital marketing strategies and living in that space for quite a long time. So we give full digital marketing strategies for you to follow. You can follow those if you'd like. We also have obviously tons of marketing templates, roadmaps. We give a 12-week pre-opening roadmap for you to follow before you even open your doors for business. So the marketing support was actually the fourth person brought apart our company was our marketing director. So we understand the value that they bring to the table. And we work with a couple of very strong PR firms as well that you'll be able to be connected with. But you also have some freedom in there. If you want to do radio, or if you want to do billboards, if you want to do mailers, if you want to venture off into that world, we can give you some coaching. But we want to be able to get to lead acquisition costs and where you're spending your money, where it's being most effective for you, and so you're not wasting money in areas and not being able to track it.
Okay, that was a good help. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. tell me about how many square feet a building would have to house one of your franchises.
Anywhere from 1,600 to 3,200 square feet. So we give you a pretty good size range there.
Okay, and do you also offer furniture packages with the franchise?
Everything we have is a design. So we have a design, construction manual and design manual. Everything is already set and done. You don't have to figure out how to paint it, what furniture to buy. It's all set and done for you already. We have preferred vendors with great pricing already set up so that you're able to use the buying power of the franchise. And with the construction manual already set in place, you just give that to a contractor along with the facility guide, and they'll be able to give you quotes and estimates before you even sign a lease of a space. You're going to know what it's going to cost you to build that out.
Okay, and do you recommend a strip mall for a location, or are y'all open to any locations within the community as the potential franchise owner might dictate, or do y'all dictate location within that community?
We will dictate. We have an approval process. So when it comes to a location, it's not just wherever the franchisee wants to go. We have an approval process. So when it comes to locations, you would work with, if you're not a franchisee yet, then you would work with myself or Jeff Thames, and we would work with you through what that looks like. And when you become a franchisee, you would work with our support and compliance team for that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Do you encourage franchisees to have multiple locations?
Well, the majority of our franchisees do have multiple locations. We don't, encouraging-wise, it's really up to the franchisee. I want to work with franchisees on an individual level on where they're at and what's going on with them. I'm not going to encourage somebody to buy multiple locations if I don't feel like they have the bandwidth to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah. So you mentioned about the curriculum, which is probably 2 to 3 years. So do kids?
That one, yep, the drop-in program, correct. There are other ones
right.
that are going to vary, but the drop-in, sure.
Right. Is there a contract that people have to sign to start in that drop-in program, or is it just month to month?
Just month to month. I mean, the franchisee can have them sign a contract if they want to, but bottom line, they're going to learn concepts and skills. They don't have to be they don't have to be there for 3 years to learn something. They're going to learn concepts and skills all the way through the curriculum. And if they want to stop on belt number 3, they can stop on belt number 3. And if they want to pick back up 6 months, a year later, they can do that. So there's a customer life cycle that we have to look at and we understand. So we know that they have to know who we are. They have to try. They have to trust us, and we want them ultimately to refer. So we understand we have to constantly be have new offerings for our students, because they could try one program and maybe not like that. We have to be able to offer them another program, whether it's a camp or parents' night out, our after-school programming, a workshop, to get them re-engaged with Code Ninjas. So if they come to a camp and they don't like it, maybe they're going to like the drop-in program better. So we're constantly throwing offerings out there because not every program is meant for everybody. So we have to have a variety out there.
Right. And then you mentioned about the rates. You give the min and the max rate. So if I want to get more information about my locality, I should reach out to you? Yep.
Connect with myself or Jeff Thames, and we'll work with you. And it's all and we have our FDD that obviously has tons of great information with 266 pages of joy to read.
Right. And so to find all this information, do I have to sign into a contract, or I can just get this information before I jump in, right?
Yeah, so you can get the FDD right away. We're not going to give you all of our internal tools as a franchise before you show some commitment to who we are and to what we're doing. Right, so we want to work with you. We want to help you. We want to build this with you and help you build business models. We have Excel worksheets for planning out your ROI and your what they call BOE, your base operating expense. We have Code Ninja business plan already done. So we have these things already in place. The franchise disclosure document, we'll get you that right away. Curriculum roadmap, let's take a look at that right away. Internal tools to help you build out your entire business model, we'll do that as we continue to engage and work together a little bit.
Okay. And probably one more question. So let's say I become a franchisee, and then it's well established. 4 or 5 years down the lane, I want to sell that business.
Sure.
So is that an option?
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for your questions.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, you have a question?
Yes, I have 2 questions, actually. How are you? My name is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. I'm doing well.
So my first question is, and I came into the conference call a little late, so I don't know if you addressed this. It sounds like everything with reference to franchise fees and your build-out seems to be a fixed cost. So my main question is, with reference to your acquisition cost to build out, is there any flexibility in that, or is it absolutely a fixed cost that you guys anticipate when we're building out this franchise per location?
So when you have your build-out expenses, so your build-out, there's no no negotiating. There's no like flexibility when it comes to our brand. So when it comes to our branding and what it looks like for Code Ninjas, it's going to be what it's going to be. When you walk into a Code Ninjas,
right,
we want it all to feel and be the same. So
got it.
Locations may be a little bit different. Sizes are going to be a bit different. But our floor, our walls, our paint, our pixel wall, our desk, the way it's laid out, it has to be a Code Ninjas. It can't just be walking into an open space or, somebody's garage. So
that sounds like a fixed cost. And did you disclose that cost, or is that more of an intimate conversation based upon, interest, contract, et cetera?
There's just a lot of unanswered questions. When it comes to a fixed cost, we give you a lot of flexibility in terms of, let's just say, for an example, an 1,800 square foot center, which is where the majority of our franchisees land right now, is about 1,800 square feet. That is anywhere from $110,000 to about $250,000 to do a total build out, total turnkey. That's build out, design, franchise fee, a couple months of operating expense, all of your inventory, outside signage, coming to new franchisee training, everything rolled up in one to open your doors for business is going to be between $110,000 and $250,000. And that delta is mainly going to be, main part of the delta is going to be what your landlord contributes to your build. Right? So if your landlord is going to contribute dollars to your build, it's going to obviously dramatically impact that. What part of the country you live in for labor costs, that's going to impact that number as well. But we also give you flexibility on how much inventory you want to buy. Right? We're not going to tell you have to buy this many computers. If you want to buy more, buy more. If you want to buy a little bit less, buy a little bit less. We give you a range on the FDD. It's going to show you anywhere from $5,000 to about $12,000 in inventory. That's because we give you flexibility there.
After that, good question. That leads me to another one. After initial inventory, is there any additional operating costs and inventory that we need to maintain every month in order to sustain the business?
No, only if you're selling stuff. Like if you wanted to sell something, if you wanted to sell, retail or something inside your center, that would be something. Otherwise, you don't have to. You want your center to look new. You don't want. These are kids, right? They're going to be rough on stuff. We don't want things to look trashed all the time. So you do want to build in a little bit into your. And we have a very nice Excel spreadsheet that I mentioned earlier that as you come into this process, is what we give you, and you can actually build in those costs to really get a good understanding of your monthly expense.
Okay. And my second question is, obviously, the success of this franchise could be based on location, could be based on marketing. What you get in sometimes is what you ultimately, what you put in is ultimately what you get out of the business. So with that said, based on the current franchisees that you currently have in place, could you give us not necessarily a success story, but somebody that's faced a lot of difficulty or challenges trying to get the business off the ground, and maybe some of the causes or the root cause as to why that business had or faced challenges in the front end?
Sure, and I think that's a great question, and I hope with the almost 30 people that are on the call still understand the value of that question and how great a question that is. I've literally onboarded more than 2,000 franchisees in my life and worked with them for over 12 years and did a lot of work with franchisees and the difficulties they face. And so what I would say that it definitely transitions right over to Code Ninjas is one is going to be space. Finding the right space, not necessarily saying it's going to be it's in a prime spot of town where everybody's going to see you. I've seen franchisees open up in subpar locations and crush it because of who they are as a franchisee. So space is important. Make sure we're not overpaying for a space, we're not overpaying for our build out, and we're not locked into some sort of a lease that is unrealistic to maintain long term because you think you're in the best part of town, so therefore you're just going to automatically get more business because you're in this certain location. So space is always going to be something that I think everybody's going to face a challenge with, and that's one reason. And what we've done with that as a franchise is that we actually hold a market for you. So Kevin, if you call me up and we're working together and you say you're interested in X territory, I remove the anxiety of you thinking that's going to be sold out from underneath you before you have time to do your due diligence. The reason that's important is space. I knew that this was going to be an issue right off the bat, and the biggest mistakes that I've seen franchisees make over the last 15 years of working with them is they get rushed into making a decision. They make a bad decision on space. So what we've done over here, what I've built this as, is if I'm working with you, Kevin, I'm going to hold your market for you and not let anybody buy it, and if you're working with me. So if we're working together, then I'm going to hold that so you can do your due diligence on space and not feel pressured into making a bad decision on the space. And we've done well with that here. We have over 100 markets right now as we speak today. I have 100 markets on hold that I'm working with people on all over the country so we can find the right space. That is a big one. And with inside Code Ninjas without is finding the right space. The learning curve of being an independent business owner. Because if you have never been business acumen is great, and you can have a strong business acumen, but if you don't have a strong entrepreneurial spirit of getting it done and being creative and being kind of like and making the right decision and being and really just being able to incorporate your culture and who you are into your business, there's a little bit of a learning curve there. So, and that's really the biggest thing I would say now that I see franchisees inside of Code Ninjas working through is that learning curve. Is what's it like to be an independent business owner, write paychecks for people, make the decisions on marketing, make the decisions on how your business moves forward. Yes, we're going to be here to support you. Yes, your franchisees are going to support you, but ultimately it's your business. You need to make the decision, and that learning curve is filled with stress. So I've seen franchisees inside of Code Ninjas get through that learning curve. Sometimes it takes people longer, sometimes it's shorter, but that's the biggest struggle that's going to be out there. And I think it's any franchise, honestly, for a new business owner. But that's a big one, is getting through that learning curve so you can incorporate your culture, your structure, your passion into your Code Ninjas. And that experience is going to be really sharp, and it's going to be world-class when you own it and it's yours. But you have to get through that learning curve first. And no matter how much we tell franchisees, no matter how much we warn them, it still happens. It's still a problem. It still becomes a burden for franchisees to get through that learning curve. So I hope that kind of answers your questions, because we made this so simple. It's not like it's like they have to be, they're on their own somewhere. We've built the roadmaps.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for your answer. Appreciate it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking their time today to be part of our Code Ninjas conference call. If you did not have a chance to get your question answered, please email me, marty@codeninjas.com. I'll be more than happy to help you. If you are interested in attending a Code Ninjas Discovery Day, we had one yesterday that Discovery Day yesterday had about 35 attendees. December already has 10 attendees signed up, pre-registered for Discovery Day. It's going to be an enormous Discovery Day in December, and the reason is because a lot of our prospective franchisees know that it's important to get open before summer, so before school's out. So that being said, if you're interested in coming to Discovery Day, there is a checklist. It is by invitation only. We would love to have you come. We would love to have you be a part of it. Please reach out to myself or Jeff Thames. If you need to reach out to me, Marty at codeninjas.com. Feel free to email me. We'll get you kind of help you get into the know of understanding what it's like to come to Discovery Day, what's required of you to come to Discovery Day, and we'll get you connected, and we look forward to meeting you. So I appreciate your time today. We look forward to working with you one-on-one. We look forward to having you become a Code Ninja franchisee and become a part of our great Code Ninjas family. Thanks for your time today.